Welcome to our channel. Today, we're back with a brand new topic just for you. Before we start the podcast, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us your sources, and, well, our mission is to pull out the key stuff, get you up to speed, fast.
Yep.
Today, we're digging into the Dart programming language. This all came from an episode of Code Talk, introducing Dart, a Code Talk dive.
That's right. We listened in, boiled it down, and the goal today is, pretty simple. Figure out what Dart actually is, why it seems to be getting popular, and, well, where people are using it.
Consider your quick guide to understanding this tech.
Exactly. A shortcut.
Okay. And it feels like, we're always seeing new devices, new platforms popping up, making apps that work smoothly everywhere. That's a huge challenge.
It really is.
So how does Dart fit into that picture, this whole multi-platform thing? Maybe we should start at the beginning, the origins.
Good idea. So Dart, it came from Google, unveiled back in 2011.
Okay.
And the initial idea, the motivation, was quite specific. It was about tackling some of the, let's say, limitations or complexities people were hitting with JavaScript when building really, really big web apps.
So large-scale stuff.
Yeah, think massive, complex websites or applications. They wanted something cleaner, maybe easier to learn, but still powerful. A language that could handle that scale better.
So kind of an alternative or an improvement on JavaScript for certain scenarios.
Sort of, yeah. But it wasn't just about the web, which is interesting. The source mentioned how it compiles.
Right, I remember that bit. It compiles to different things.
Exactly. That was baked in early on. It could compile to really optimized JavaScript, so it worked great in browsers, but also to native machine code, like for running directly on a device.
And that dual nature, that became pretty important later, didn't it?
Hugely important. Which leads us right to Flutter.
Yeah, you almost can't talk about Dart without mentioning Flutter, can you?
Yeah.
It feels like they're inseparable now.
You're absolutely right. Flutter, which is Google's toolkit for building UIs, user interfaces, it was a massive catalyst for Dart.
How so?
Well, Flutter gave developers a really effective way to build apps for multiple platforms, iOS, Android, from just one code base. And the language powering Flutter, that was Dart.
Oh, okay.
So Flutter really put Dart on the map, especially for mobile app development. Flutter's the framework, Dart's the engine driving it.
Got it. So we know the backstory, but at least get practical. What is Dart, if you had to explain it to someone totally new?
Okay, fundamentally, Dart is a general-purpose language. It's object-oriented, which is a common way of structuring code.
Right.
But its big focus, its sweet spot, is really client-side development, building the parts of an app that the user actually interacts with.
So the interface, the logic on the device.
Exactly. And across loads of platforms, mobile, obviously, but also web, desktop, even embedded systems, it's built for that user-facing experience wherever it runs.
Client-side everywhere. That's ambitious. The source mentions something about typing too, static typing, but also convenient. What's that about?
Yeah, that's a really neat feature. It is statically typed. That means the language knows what kind of data you're using, like numbers or text, before the code runs. It helps catch errors early. Think of it like grammar check for your code.
Okay, makes sense. Less bugs, hopefully.
Right. But to make life easier, it also has type inference. The language can often figure out the type itself based on the context, so you don't always have to write it out explicitly.
So safety plus convenience, best of both worlds.
Kind of, yeah. It aims for that balance. And then there's that compilation thing again. You mentioned AOT and JIT.
Yeah, ahead of time and just in time. Why is having both a big deal?
Okay, so ahead of time, or AOT. That's all about performance when the app is running. Dart compiles your code down to fast, native machine code before you ship the app.
So it starts fast, runs smooth.
Exactly. Super important for mobile apps, right? Users hate waiting. AOT delivers that snappy feel.
Okay, and JIT, just in time.
JIT is for the developer experience. It compiles code on the fly while you're building the app, and this enables amazing features like hot reload.
Hot reload. I've heard developers rave about that.
Oh, yeah. It lets you see your code changes reflected in the running app almost instantly. Like, change some UI code, hit save, and boom, it updates without restarting the whole thing.
Wow, okay. I can see how that would massively speed up development. Like, trying out ideas must be so much faster.
Totally. It's a huge productivity booster.
Yeah.
And then the source also mentioned modern language features.
Yeah. What else does Dart offer?
Well, it has great support for asynchronous programming using async and await. This makes it much easier to handle things that take time, like network requests, without locking up the whole app.
Important for anything connected.
Definitely. Plus the strong typing we talked about and something called sound null safety.
Null safety, what's that guarding against?
It basically helps prevent errors caused by trying to use a variable that doesn't actually have a value that's null. It's a common source of crashes in many languages. Dart builds safety against that right into the language.
Okay, so fewer unexpected crashes. Always good.
You bet. It leads to more robust code.
All right, so Dart seems pretty well equipped. Let's really dig into the why now. Why would a developer pick Dart today, given all the options?
Okay, the advantages. Number one, definitely, is cross-platform development, especially with Flutter.
The write once, run anywhere dream.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Write your code in Dart, use the Flutter framework, and you can deploy to iOS, Android, web, Windows, Mac, Linux. It's incredibly efficient.
I can see the appeal. Building natively for each platform is expensive and time-consuming.
It really is. This saves a ton of effort. Then there's a fast performance we touched on.
Which comes from that AOT compilation.
Exactly. Compiling to native code means apps generally start fast and run smoothly to your user experience.
And developer productivity, we talked about hot reload. That seems like a massive win.
Huge win. Seeing changes instantly just makes the whole build, test, debug cycle so much quicker. Faster iteration, faster development.
I remember you mentioned a project where that made a big difference.
Yeah, we were tweaking the UI constantly and being able to see the result immediately without waiting for a rebuild. It felt incredibly fluid, almost like designing live.
Nice. And the modern language features the clean syntax, async, null safety. They're not just bells and whistles, right? They actually help.
Oh, absolutely. They lead to code that's cleaner, easier to read, less prone to bugs, and just generally more maintainable in the long run. Plus, don't forget the tooling.
Totally.
Yeah, Google backs Dart heavily, so you get really good development tools, code editors, debuggers, extensive documentation. And the community, while maybe newer than some, is very active and growing fast.
Right. Strong backing helps. Okay, so we know why people might choose it. Where are we actually seeing Dart being used out in the wild?
The biggest area, hands down, is mobile apps built with Flutter. Tons of apps on your phone, big and small, are likely built using Dart and Flutter now.
It's really taken off in mobile then.
Definitely. It's a major player there, but not just mobile.
Right, you mentioned web and desktop too.
Yep. Because Dart compiles to JavaScript, people are using it for web apps. And Flutter's desktop support is getting really mature, so you're seeing more Windows, Mac OS, and Linux apps built with Dart as well.
Huh, interesting. A true multi-platform tool.
It's heading that way, and the source even mentioned embedded systems and IoT.
Yeah, that surprised me a little. Like for smart devices.
Potentially, yeah. Its performance and relative efficiency now gets suitable for some of those resource-constrained environments. It's a growing area, and you can use it for backend server development, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, though the source was clear, and it's generally true that it's not as common there compared to languages like Node.js, Python, or Java for backend stuff. Its main strength is still the client side.
Got it. So it's versatile, but shines most brightly in UI development. Now, no tech is perfect. We need balance. What are the downsides or limitations?
Good point. The main one often cited is the ecosystem size. While it's growing really fast, the number of third-party libraries, packages, and maybe the sheer volume of answers on Stack Overflow, it's still not as vast as JavaScript or Python.
So you might have to build something yourself occasionally, rather than finding a ready-made library.
Potentially, yeah, especially for more niche things. It's getting better all the time, but it's a factor compared to the giants.
What else?
The learning curve. While Dart aims to be easy to learn if you're totally new to programming or maybe coming from a very different language, things like object-oriented concepts or asynchronous programming might take some getting used to.
Fair enough. Any language has its concepts to learn.
Right. And like we said, the backend support, while possible, isn't as mature or widely adopted as dedicated backend languages. So if your primary focus is server-side, Dart might not be the first choice usually.
Okay, that gives a good balanced view.
Yeah.
So thinking ahead, what's the future look like for Dart? Is it sticking around?
All signs point to yes, definitely. Google is investing heavily, continuously, in both Dart and Flutter. They're clearly committed.
That's a strong indicator.
Yeah, and the need for good cross-platform solutions isn't going away. If anything, it's growing. Dart, especially with Flutter, is really well positioned to meet that need. It offers that blend of performance and developer happiness.
So it seems like a solid bet for the future in that space. Who should really be paying attention then? Who benefits most from learning Dart now?
Well, obviously, mobile developers interested in Flutter, that's almost a given.
Right.
Also, any developer or team that wants to build apps for multiple platforms efficiently, if cross-platform is your goal, Dart Flutter is a top contender.
Makes sense.
Programmers who just appreciate modern language design, strong typing, null safety, clean syntax, they might really enjoy working with Dart.
People who like well-designed tools.
Exactly. And finally, teams looking for speed. Not just app speed, but development speed. That hot reload, the strong tooling, it enables really fast cycles.
Okay, great summary. So let's wrap up this deep dive. We started with Dart's origins at Google, aiming to improve large-scale web dev.
Right, then saw it evolve into this versatile, object-oriented client-side language.
With that cool dual compilation, AOT for speed, JAT for development via hot reload, and modern features like async and null safety.
Then we hit the why, the huge cross-platform advantage with Flutter, the performance, the developer productivity.
We saw where it's used dominating in Flutter, mobile apps, but also web, desktop, even poking into IoT.
And acknowledge the downsides, the still growing ecosystem compared to giants, maybe a learning curve for some, less back-end focus.
But the future looks bright, with Google's backing and the cross-platform trend.
Yeah. And for me, the real aha is just how tightly knit Dart and Flutter are. That combination, that synergy, that's the powerhouse. Understanding how Flutter uses Dart's strengths is key.
Totally agree. It's a powerful duo. So here's a final thought for you, the listener. We live in a world overflowing with different devices, right? Phones, tablets, laptops, desktops, web. How might a language like Dart, built from the ground up with cross-platform performance and developer speed in mind, change your thinking about building software? Could it be the thing that unlocks that next multi-platform project you've been dreaming about?
Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.